Would you like a cookie, son?
What do you know? They're little footballs.
Laces out.
Ohio State from 50 for the win and a spot in the national championship game. It's on the way. No good. He hooked it. And Georgia is going to survive.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Big Dog Brad. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Today, we're going to be talking about an Ohio State University and the University of Georgia, the winners of the Peach Bowl. And yes, it is just peachy with me. Well, what a great game it was. Few minutes here, we are going to have Keith is going to be joining us here, and we'll have some lively chat to discuss what happened during the game. I want to get his thoughts, feelings, remarks, responses, and any other type of information he wants to add along the way. So today is the day after, or the day of, however you want to look at it. I believe it would be the day of. They're calling it the Miracle at Midnight. I like that. I like the sound of it. I'm going to use it. I'm probably going to put it on a t-shirt. I'm going to buy it myself. I may be the only one, but I'm going to have that. I might put it on a hat. I don't know. We shall have our revenge, sir. You lost the last two games you played in. Georgia's lost one game in the past two seasons. Sir, you're not on Georgia's level. Georgia had the worst performance defensively they have had in probably a year and a half. And for some reason, you seem to think you just going to jump right back in here and listen. Y'all got a lot of problems to fix. You can't even get past Michigan. You got to get past Michigan and backdoor your way into another college football playoff and hope you don't get Georgia again. Y'all better focus on your rival first. Don't worry about us. We way down the road from y'all. Way down the road. Way down the road. Georgia's building a dynasty, sir. You're building a doghouse for us to come stay in. Oh, just got to give you guys a little bit of noise. Trash Talk's been great today. That's high quality H2O right there. Yes. Man, there's so many memes and stuff running all over Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and everything else, man. It's been a great day. I actually found my way into somewhere on TikTok where it is Ohio State fans. Whenever the kick was missed, one of them specifically, I got to find it. I got to show you guys this. I laughed so hard, and I think it was because this lady's laugh, man. Yeah, here we go. It's her laugh that gets me. You hear that laugh? Oh. Man, throws the phone down. You got to be kidding me. I've been downloading these all day. Absolutely great. Great. So how's everybody doing tonight? Let me know your thoughts, your feelings. What's your thoughts of the game? How did you think you did? How did you think we did? So forth and so on. Yeah. Let's see who we got over here in the chat this evening. We've got Manix 435, Oakley Farmer. I'm not sure how you farm in Oakley, but right on. Eric Phelps, how you doing, sir? Is your are you kin to Michael Phelps? Cliff Millwood, he says, does anyone know how much money Sea-Dog has spent on hats? I don't know, but he gonna be buying some more, I guess. What's up, Husker Gray? OSU and the Georgia Bulldogs' best semifinal game. Absolutely, sir. Couldn't agree more. Anyone still not a Stetson fan, he should have ended all that this game. Sir. The love for Stetson is very real. But did you see how Kirby Smart was dogging him? I dare you to go tell Kirby Smart he shouldn't be dogging on Stetson. Go ahead and do that. See how that works out for you. I think you might be disappointed with the response. Jay Meir, how you doing? Doggy Style. Lin Joe Global. Ballad Sports Media. Cool Breeze, one of our resident members, says Happy New Year. Very much appreciated. Georgia Bulldog says, I can't talk today. My voice is gone. Man, I got a question for you. Sir. Question for you. Where forth art thou? Pictures you were supposed to send me at the game, sir. Huh? Where my pictures? Where's my car, Bruce? I'm checking right now. Yeah. I got a text message from somebody. Pastor Dave said Merry Christmas. So yeah. Yeah. I ain't synced them. Spent 9 minutes laughing at C-Dog's video of the Peach Bowl. What did he do? Was it targeting? Yes or no? This you got to take into consideration, Cool Breeze, that Georgia had a month to prepare for this game, and they came out and played like that. I would have to say this was our worst game. Georgia didn't prep and plan and all this other stuff for Kent State. Really, they didn't prep and plan for Missouri. They prepped and planned and watched tons of tape on Ohio State and did a miserable job. Defense looked like they were just exhausted the whole game. Was terrible. Yeah, it was not targeting. I mean, even if you get on TikTok and you start looking up that play, you start getting on other social media and looking at that play, and even Ohio State fans are in the comment sections telling them that's not targeting. That's just a good clean hit. It's textbook perfect, really. It's taking your head out, putting your shoulder in. It's a violent strike, and violent is okay. But it was not the crown of the helmet. Like while I was sitting there watching the game, we had some friends over, and one of the guys there was trying to tell me that was targeting. I'm like, he's not targeting. He did not use the crown of the helmet. You got to use the crown of the helmet. No. Yeah. That's a clean hit. That's legit. That's allowed. No. They got it wrong. And so he pulled up the rule, and then he found out, it does have to. Yeah. Okay. So and two, and then yeah. So no, not targeting. Appreciate you though. Appreciate you. Do. Waiting on Keith to jump in here. He'll be in here in a minute. That was a great hit, but they missed a call. He stepped out and came back in to touch the ball. Did he really? Oh, hold on. We gonna watch that. See if I can find this. All right, so I found a short. Let's see. I'm off right now. I don't want to. You know what? We'll do it together. Then. We'll do it together. Let's do it together then. And 2. Okay, so present. Shall. Crom Tob. Shall. All right. Do you see what I see? The dogs are going to the netty, and Ohio State's riding the bus back home. First time I found BDB 2018, second into a handled it with class. I'm happy you get these. Yeah, man. Listen, so many heartbreaks along the way, man. All right, let's see what we got right here. I'm gonna put myself in the corner down here. All right, here we go. Let's see.
Looking that way. Retreating. He'll just throw it out of the back of the.
Yep. We are going to back this up. We're going to slow the speed down. We're going to go to 0.5. That should be plenty.
Stroud rolling. Look.
Also, I want to note there's a hold right here, just in case you missed it.
In that way. Retreating, and he'll just throw it out of the back to the.
Yeah.
Throw it out of the back.
Yeah, he was definitely standing out of bounds.
Back to the end zone. There was heavy pressure. Actually,
got blasted.
Flag.
Ouch. Town. Population U, bro. Danny Pope wants to know, was Kirby's timeout call on the fake punt the play of the game? Yeah, I think so. I think so. The reverse angle view was clear. There was a reverse angle view. Let me see if I can find the rear view. Was there a rear view? All these commercials, man. Terrible. I'm watching it. Hang on.
Defense number 22. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down. The play is under review.
Of course, they'll review it. That's Javon Bullard, an enormous play.
Trying to buy time. Watch this ball doesn't go into the stands. It's on the back line, and there's the hit right there. I mean, he's on the back line. He steps out, right there, but he's trying to make a play right there. I mean, he's on the back line.
Right there, that foot.
The back.
Right there. Perfect frame. Foot's out. You can see that foot's out. Yeah. Stepped out for sure. That's a great catch. Whoever called that, that's a great catch. I mean, not great, he didn't make a great catch. Whoever caught that, yeah, you know what I'm saying. All right, let me go ahead and throw this in the chitter chat. Yeah, Keeley got embarrassed tonight, but I also think that part of that was Georgia's play scheme, because if you go back and you look at what actually happened during the in the LSU game, that's what OSU's game plan was, and it worked very well for him.
Back line, he steps out, but he's trying to make a play. Then the big hit.
Even the announcer says he steps out. Listen.
Best play.
Trying to buy time. Watch this ball doesn't go into the stands. It's on the back line, and there's the hit right there. I mean, he's on the back line. He steps out, but he's trying to make a play. Then the big hit.
Yeah. So even if he catches that ball, it's very well likely that they could have said that he stepped
Bullard, and that's where the flag came in.
Looked like he hit him with the
referee
shoulder
standing right there and didn't call it.
Terry Layden, the Pac-12 crew, will take a look at this one. There was the helmet to helmet that time.
No.
Replay took this targeting rule off. It's not.
Yeah. because it wasn't targeting. You running OBS there, Keith?
Wasn't I got my cam?
Row. How would you get that figured out?
Hey.
There he is. Oh man, you saved. Oh no.
Yeah. What's up?
So I just wanted to say, you may have missed this, but Lace is out, Dan. Lace is out. They showed a sky cam view and he was out. Yeah, it was definitely out. I mean, you can see it from the other angle. He was out clear as day. So it should have been a call on that play. Yeah. Well, the thing is that I think that if he would have caught the ball, then the line judge is forced to make a call on whether he's in or out, whether that's a touchdown or not, because he can't say you're out of bounds whenever you haven't completed a catch yet. That's completely irrelevant. What's up, Straight Dog? So the moment that he got hit, it immediately went to that's targeting, or at least we have to check it. And then because he dropped the ball, that was irrelevant anyway. So they would have had to have sorted all that out if he caught the ball, but he didn't catch the ball, he dropped the ball. So.
I think if he'd have caught the ball, I mean, there would have been a whole other explanation of what was going on there, because they would have seen him stepping out. They would have had to take all that into account. And unfortunately, because that got captured during the targeting call, that they would have been able to spot that happening and be able to call a penalty on it.
Well, they would have, if he would have caught the ball, and it would have been targeting, they would have reviewed it because it's a scoring play. They would have saw that he stepped out of bounds. They would have said ineligible receiver. That would have been a penalty against OSU.
Yeah, that's an illegal touching. I think that's like a 15-yard penalty.
So it would have been a penalty against them. It would have been targeting against Georgia. Our player would have been ejected, but it would have been offset penalties.
Offset penalties replayed down.
Correct.
And on that play, I mean, I am fairly confident that C.J. Stroud was attempting to throw that ball away. I don't think for any stretch of imagination he wanted that ball to come down in bounds. Yeah, and so 100%. I mean, it was, I know there's a lot of controversy going on about that targeting call, but that's kind of on C.J. Stroud for not getting that ball out of play. And he kind of laid it up there.
He put that ball in the back of the end zone, and the receiver, he was trying to throw it out. You could tell he was trying to throw it out. He was running away from 3 Georgia defenders. He was about to be sacked. He knew he couldn't take a sack. And so he throws off his back foot, off balance, and he tries to muscle it as hard as he can to get it out. And what ends up happening is it falls right at the back of the goal line. And that receiver, just trying to play football, just trying to make a play, goes up, tries to get that ball. And whenever he does, Bullard sees this coming. He was like, there is no way you're catching that ball in front of me. And if you do, you're going to earn it. And so he brought the house to him. And whenever he did, I mean, he just got absolutely flattened. Ladd McConkey was playing with an injury, my man. Ladd McConkey was playing with an injury. Ladd McConkey did get that 2-point conversion, though. So you got to give that to Ladd. But the moment he got up after that 2-point conversion, he was limping. So,
well, Ladd was iffy for the game. Anyway, I mean, that was one of the whole storylines going into the game, was whether or not he was going to play or at least contribute,
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, me and Keith were texting each other back and forth, and I won't I've classified those texts. I won't release them to the public without court order. There was me and him was having some conversations back and forth about the way that game was going. Now, I know this is an unpopular opinion, and that's fine. Y'all can get mad at me if you want to. For 3/4 of that game, Stetson Bennett was borderline trash. Borderline trash. He was throwing stuff short. It was skipping in the dirt. He was overthrowing people that didn't need to be overthrown. That interception that he threw should have been a touchdown if he just would have threw the ball 5 more yards. He would have hit that guy in the side, he'd have been gone.
Yeah. He absolutely had a bad third quarter, for sure. Like, the third quarter was pretty terrible, to the point where, like, it was about to be one of those kind of all or nothing things. It might be time to contemplate a change, because Stetson got, for a while there, he got the deer in headlights until Kirby kind of snatched him to the side and kind of, wrangled him back in.
Took him in the medical tent. Did you see that?
Yeah, because, I mean, if you notice, he was doing that thing where he pats the ball. He stops back and he starts patting the ball. He's like thinking, he's like trying to figure it out. And it's like, no, man, just
Go
trust
with your
your
gut.
instincts. Go with the play, man. We've been practicing. We know what we're doing here. Just get the ball to the guys and stop trying to make, you got to score a touchdown with every play, So.
And I mean, he made some great throws at certain times in the game, but it was so damn inconsistent.
Yeah.
What's up, Matty Sims? It's enough to make you want to choke yourself.
Yeah,
Watching him play, I really felt like, and I was mad at the defense. But I was also mad at Stetson Bennett because Stetson Bennett, I have seen him throw amazing in tight windows and tight coverage. And he had people that was wide open, and he wasn't throwing it to him. He was throwing short, or he was standing there counting the seams on the damn football, waiting to be sacked. And it's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think the early pick really messed with him. He went into no mistake mode.
Yeah.
I don't want to make a mistake. I'm not going to be the reason we lose this game. I might not be the reason we win, but I'm definitely not going to be the reason we lose. That's like not the type of football player he is. It's just not.
I think that conversation that Kirby Smart had with him went something like this. Look, man, you've been trying not to make mistakes all night. How's that working for you? You've been sitting back there trying to figure it out. How's that working for you? It's not working. Stop doing that. We're going to call the play, throw the damn ball to who we call it to, and just get it there on time. That's all you got to do. And I think that's what happened. Did Georgia earn OSU's respect? I say yeah. I don't want to play y'all again. Not if we're going to play like that.
I mean,
I think there was some great coaching that went on by OSU's offense.
Absolutely. Like Ryan Day came in with a fantastic game plan to try to win that game. And Ohio State took their best shot. That's the best they've looked all year. They pulled out new stuff in CJ Stroud's arsenal that you haven't seen. I mean, he was recruited as a dual threat, but he has never done that. And I mean, they kept talking about it in the commentary in the game, and they're spot on. I mean, I don't know how much Georgia prepared for him to run, but that was a game changer in that game. Once he showed that he was going to start, running the ball and extending plays and getting outside the tackle box and things like that, like that kind of changed the game for Georgia's defense. And you could see it rattled them tremendously. And especially when you start seeing that, they were holding a lot. I mean, I know everybody's saying that, I mean, it's obvious if you watch the game and watch the film. I mean, they literally were tackling Jalen Carter on certain plays. The scramble in the fourth quarter there that CJ Stroud had, they literally tackled him right in front of the refs, which is wild that they didn't call that. But I mean, that all frustrated, I think, Georgia's defense. But at the end of the day, I mean, we let them score 41 points, but we got stops when we needed them. You know what I mean? We got stops when we needed them. We scored touchdowns when we needed them. And Kirby's decision to go for a field goal there rather than go for it on fourth down, that 10. I mean, I don't know. It seemed like every time it was needed, the right dial was turned. You know what I mean? Like you could say like in the course of the whole game, like we probably got out coached that game, like at least the lead up to the game, but the timeout, like the Brock Bowers first down play. I mean, that like there was so many things that was just like, us as Georgia fans are used to being on the other end of those plays. You know what I mean? Like we're so used to being the people that stuff happens to,
Yeah. I won't say it was like magic, but it felt weird as hell.
Yeah. And I mean, and like I've said in some of the previous shows, Georgia this year, like if you go back and, hopefully they release one of them DVDs where you got the whole season, when you won the national championship, because I'm going to tell you something. This year, this Georgia football team has won in just about every manner you can win. We were talking earlier this year about, if you needed to win a slugfest, like a slow it down and like they did with Kentucky, then they come back from behind and with Missouri. And then the only thing that people said for years that Georgia can't do is win a shootout. Like, what happens when people score on their defense?
Yeah.
Well, they did it. They did get into a shootout. And then the other question is, what happens if Georgia gets behind? They were behind by 14 points. They won a game in which the opponent scored 41 points, and they were behind by 14 at some point in the game. I mean, so again, Georgia wins another type of game that people doubted they could win. So this team has won every type of football game you could put in front of them.
Let's throw another one out there. Another little fact. Can Georgia win on the arm of Stetson Bennett? And this was the first game we did. I really feel like this was the first game that was decided this season on the arm of Stetson Bennett.
Absolutely.
As good as CJ Stroud played, he played the game of his life.
Yeah.
Played the game of his life.
And was still statistically outdone by Stetson Bennett. Yeah.
Absolutely. Stetson Bennett outperformed him.
Yeah. And it was all in the fourth quarter. I think was it 190 of his yards were in the fourth quarter?
A very ridiculous number.
Yeah.
He threw for more yards in the fourth quarter than I have ever seen any UGA quarterback throw for.
Yeah, they said that was I think it was a playoff record, right? That's the most
playoff record.
That was the most yardage in a playoff game in a single quarter or something like that in a playoff game or something. You know?
It was a Georgia record. It was a playoff game record. It was an SEC record, I think.
Yeah, the last drive, like you said, that last drive to take that took the lead. That drive by Stetson Bennett was unbelievable. But it's reminiscent of last year's national championship game. You know, after he had that turnover, it was like he just kind of took over the game and just marched right down there. And I think it ended up with a Brock Bowers touchdown pass. But you know, he just takes over in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Cliff Millwood brings up a good point. He said that we were down by 14. Twice.
Oh, we were. Yeah, we were early in the first half. We were down by 14, and because it was like 21-7 at one point, and then it was 38-24 at one point.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is that
Georgia scored 17 unanswered points to take the lead right at the end of the half. You know, you thought they were going to take the lead into the half, but then they let them come back. But yeah, I mean,
watching that game though, it did not feel like Georgia was hitting the passing yards like OSU was.
Yeah, when I saw the stat line at the end that showed like the comparison between the two, I was kind of like, wow, you just didn't feel that. You know what I mean? It felt like OSU was just killing us with the passing game. And I mean, they were, but you know, I was prepared for 500 plus yards in the air because I didn't really keep up with the statistics throughout the game until it got to the end. And when they showed the stat line side by side, I was just like, wow.
I was stunned. I was stunned that Ohio State tried to run as much as they did. I really was.
And I mean, they got over 100 yards. So
I think he had 100. It was 119 or something.
Yeah, 119
yards. They averaged 3.7 a carry, which is a better performance than most teams have put up against Georgia this season.
Yeah,
they ran 32 times.
That's the thing that's wild about this game. You know, as a Georgia fan, you know, watching it as a Georgia fan, you felt like, man, there's nothing we can do to like take over this game. It feels like we're just trying to stay catch up, and you know what you're waiting on is a turnover or a stop that's going to put them up by 21 or up by 17 late in the game. You know, that's what you're waiting on. But every time Georgia got a stop when they needed, turned around and scored when they needed. And when you look at the stats at the end of the game, Georgia, Stetson Bennett outperformed CJ Stroud from the statistics.
Yep.
Georgia had the leading rusher. Georgia had the leading receiver. You know what I mean? So like all the stats really favor Georgia. I mean, Arian Smith, 3 receptions, 129 yards, led all receivers.
Zero Cool says, did the super chat go through? Didn't go through, so send it again. Georgia didn't play the perfect game, but Ohio did. If Georgia got the 2 field goal kicks and the TD from the turnover drive, it would have been a different game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. There's so many things you think back on. The missed field goals was like, I mean, it's a different game if you really take into account a lot of the stuff that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, watching that game, I felt like Georgia was floundering, and then we would hit a big play. And I talked about this earlier today. The explosive plays that Georgia had throughout this game is what kept us in it. I really thought it was going to be a methodical, slow game, but it was not. Georgia came out, and I think we only punted twice in this entire game. It was our offense that kept us in this game. It was not our defense at all. So, that was another question that was answered is, can Georgia win a game without their defense? What happens?
I mean, I wouldn't say
you put 42 points on the board. It's hard to argue that you had a good defensive day.
I wouldn't say you had a good defensive day, but they absolutely got stops when they needed it. They forced them into situations. I mean, that hit on the hit on Harrison and not him out. I mean, that was a fantastic defensive play. I mean, I think you played defense against a team that had a month to scheme against your defense. And I mean, everybody knew. I mean, the weakness in Georgia is if you could just throw on them. Keely's exposable. He is a fantastic talent that needs more coaching.
But they often put him on an island by himself. I don't know if you've noticed that, but he very rarely gets help. They put him out there by himself a lot. And so that ends up putting him in situations where if it's a 50-50 ball and you have an NFL wide receiver, it's really not a 50-50 ball. That's like a 65-35 ball.
And if I remember correctly, I saw somebody on Twitter. I probably couldn't pull it back up, but I saw somebody that did a breakdown of like the receivers that went against Keely Ringo. Like it felt like they were showing Keely getting killed over and over and over again, but he actually had a fairly statistically good day. Like he didn't really give up a whole lot compared to how many yards they actually got. Not that many were actually on Keely.
Really appreciate that super chat, Zero Cool, by the way. If those of you guys also want to do a super chat, there are buttons down below. And if you want to join the channel and support the channel, there's a join button down below. It's where you can become a subscriber and support our channel. Kind of like Twitch, but it's not Twitch, it's YouTube. So
I see the debate going on about Herschel in the chat. Yeah. I mean, this was something we talked about in my house. Like at the end of that game, when they were interviewing Stetson about, the comeback or whatever, Herschel Walker, yes, is probably the best, probably the best player. I don't know. That's a different argument. You talk about the best player to ever come to Georgia. There's a lot of good players, but I don't know how popular this is, but at this point, I could probably say it. And definitely if he wins the national championship, Stetson Bennett is going to be the most historically relevant player in the history of UGA's football program. Oh, You're watching it right now. That's why I was telling my wife, like one thing that's cool about being a Georgia fan right now, the success is cool, but we're getting to live and watch a player that will go down as the most historically relevant UGA football player.
Yep. He'll be a UGA Hall of Famer for sure.
I don't know how long that'll last.
We were having an argument at our house that had Stetson ran for Senate, he would have won.
You ain't lying, bro. You're probably right.
Hey,
so I'm gonna throw something else out there for you.
Big dog. I just want to pop in and say something real quick. I've been gone for like a month.
Welcome back.
To your so I had open heart surgery. So it was a big thing. But like I wanted to let you know that I had been like while I was in the hospital, I'm just sitting there, can't move. I was listening to your streams, and it was like I was like looking forward to it. Like that was like one of the things I was like kept checking to see when your streams popped up. So it was a good. I wanted to say like, man, like you wasn't there, like you don't really know me, but like man, that kind of got me through. So I appreciate you, bro.
No, 100%, man. I'm glad I could do that for you, but I'm also going to tell you that that's sad that you have to listen to me to feel good.
Nah,
there's so many better people out there than me, man. You can do better than me. I look at my wife and tell her the same thing every time I see her. Like, you could do better than me, right? You don't have to.
Well, the thing about it is, like, you get to not be thinking about like whatever the situation is, and just listen to people talk about football and just talking trash. That's a good vibe.
Yeah, man. Hey, always feel free to reach out to me on social media. Email me, dude. I'm the most accessible YouTube person that you'll ever find.
Not a lie.
On everybody.
Yeah. I remember. So I'm in. I had to have the surgery here in Columbus, and like it was a weird way to ring in the new year, like because the kick happened right when the new year hit. But I was like, man, I was actually happy for you because, like, again, I said earlier, like, man, I seen you that. Like you done went through some stuff with the Georgia team. I seen y'all get the dog walk, and then you still come on the thing, and you still like I wouldn't have shown up after that the 2018 one. I'm not going on live after that touchdown by Tua to Devontae, but you came on, so you're a solid dude. So I'm like, man, you've done all this. I've only known you for like 5 years. I'm like, man, if anybody deserves it as a fan, it's you. I don't know no other Georgia fans. I don't be rooting for them, but I'd be rooting for you, dude.
That's awesome.
I got something I want to share. By the way, if you're doing open heart surgery, I'm not sure that watching football is what you should be doing.
Wasn't watching. Slept through it, but like I'd wake up at like 9 o'clock at night, and then like I'd see you on like a random Tuesday or Wednesday, and then that's like it's the craziest thing.
But for those of you who don't know, I actually have a video of Cool Breeze in the hospital watching the Georgia game. Did you know that, Cool Breeze? Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna show it to you just so you believe me.
Go for it.
I love this shit. I may move to England.
Yeah, so I just want you to know I got that video of you, man.
Yeah. So you taking this week as a victory lap, or are you actually worried about TCU?
Well, I wasn't worried about.
You already answered. I saw it in the smirk.
I wasn't worried about OSU. Now I got to call up Kirby and be like, WTF, bruh. The hell y'all doing up there? Y'all saw what happened, and that was my thing, is that because I saw this happen in the LSU game, I figured they would have fixed it.
Yeah.
They didn't fix nothing. Maybe they can't. But I can tell you that if we try to run press man coverage against TCU and they start doing that stuff, I'm not sure we're going to be able to stop it either. We have to depend on the offense again. Now, I think our offense will have a better day because I don't think TCU's defense is as good because they didn't stop anything Michigan did. Also, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and point this out. Michigan should have won their game and OSU should have won their game. Both of those teams should have won their game, and there should be a rematch. But unfortunately, in football, that just doesn't happen sometimes. Sometimes the better team loses. You go back to the Georgia and the SEC game last year, we were the better team going into that game, and we still lost. So it can happen.
Yeah, I mean the targeting call at the end of the Michigan game was I don't understand how they picked that one up. Like, I know it probably sounds contradictory, considering I do not think it was targeting in the Georgia game, but you really look at the intent. I look at the intent of the rule that was put in place, right? The intent of the rule that was put in place was to encourage the defense or the defensive players to start playing the game a different way.
Yep. And
that TCU defender, and don't get me wrong, I was cheering for TCU in this game, so I mean I'm happy that the game ended and everything. But that game, that kid lowered his helmet, had put his face mask to the ground, and led with the crown of his helmet and hit into the head or neck area. And that is absolutely what you're trying to stop the players from doing.
But wouldn't that have been offsetting penalties, just like like you said, the Ohio State Georgia game? Because they had I think it's like the tackle had the ball, then he pitches it out, and then somebody.
I don't think it was still. I think it was a legal forward pass, though, right? I mean, the first thing was
the tackle. After the tackle got the ball, you can't pitch it.
Why not? The first pitch was backwards.
No, but once a non ball carrying player gets it, then he pitches it back. You can't then throw a pass.
Well, appreciate that next super chat there, Zero Cool. He says, what do you two feel that the Dogs need to correct with the secondary these next 2 days? TCU will have a similar passing game like CJ Stroud.
I mean, I can answer that real quick. Georgia, what hurt Georgia in this game was they did not prepare for CJ Stroud to run as much as he did and create as much as he did. He has been a pocket passer all year, all last year. That's just who he's been.
That's a fact.
And Max Duggan is not that. We know what he is. He's a running quarterback. He's what we've seen already. He's Bo Nix. He's
Tebow.
He's Tebow. He's the LSU quarterback that I can't think of his name right off the tip of my tongue. But Georgia prepares for those guys well, and they'll have a game plan going into it. And I've never been a coach, but I can tell you that having a month to prepare for Ohio State, I guarantee you there was some Michigan and TCU work done in that month as well. So,
sure. Yeah. Now, I do want to throw this out for those of you who say that C.J. Stroud was a running quarterback. You've heard that C.J. Stroud can run. He is not a running quarterback. In all of 2022, he has attempted to run the ball 47 times, just 47, and he only had 108 yards all season. So consider that he ran the ball 47 times all year. 12 of those was against Georgia. So 25% of all his runs all season was against Georgia. So no, they didn't prepare for that.
Yeah,
if that CJ Stroud showed up like that running quarterback, he wins the Heisman. Like, because that's the only thing that was missing from him.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If he played that way all year, he wins the Heisman, and they don't lose to Michigan.
Not at all.
No, I agree. I do have a question for you two gentlemen there. Why do you think that the line came out at 13 and some change for Georgia?
Because they got dog walked by Michigan. Like, they got just bullied. And, Georgia's the biggest bully on the block. And they got beat by, like, Georgia Light up there in Michigan.
What lines for the national championship game?
Yeah, it's 13.5. Over-under's like 64.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't looked at the line. I heard.
Oh, you're talking about the TCU? I thought you were talking about the OSU game.
No, yeah, OSU opened at like 6.5 and then fell to 5, right? 5 or 5.5 after the kickoff.
I think at one point right before the game, it was down to 4.5. But yeah,
was it really? I knew that. I know the prediction was for a Georgia TCU game to open up at double digits. I didn't know. I hadn't checked it today, so it's 13.
Looking at the Georgia TCU game, it is currently 13.5. Over under 62.5.
Do you think TCU has a realistic chance of beating Georgia in the football game next week?
I don't, but let me.
That's why. Like, nobody until you do it, nobody believes in your school. Until you go like Boise State, Oklahoma, nobody's going to really believe in your school or win that championship.
So TCU has lost one game all season, and they lost to K-State. K-State got absolutely walloped. Got walloped by Alabama. I mean, now, if you look at most of their games, they really don't score those many points. Like they score pretty decent. Well, like in their last 34 points against Texas Tech, 17 against Texas, 29 against Baylor. Now they did blow out Iowa State, but it's Iowa State. They lost to K-State 28, and then they got 45 points against Michigan. Now, Michigan supposedly had a pretty good defense, but I don't know.
I mean, I think the reason the line opens up, the way it does is because of a couple of different things. I think one, just the talent, right? I mean, the talent gap between the teams is real, and Georgia is one of the teams that that's exacerbated with Georgia because they are so talented and so deep. So I think it was always going to be a pretty decent line, but I think also if you're a bettor or if you're anybody that pays attention to football, that was a pretty impressive win by Georgia to win that game. You know what I mean? Just about everyone, including, a lot of Georgia fans thought that game was over. So people that weren't Georgia fans thought that game was over.
Yeah, sure.
The only people that didn't think that game was over was the Georgia players. And so I think they garnered a lot of respect from being able to win, like I said, being able to win that type of game that they've always been said they couldn't win, And so
it's been an incredibly long time since Georgia has played a game like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think they put the statistic there, like the first time they've come back from 14 points down or something like. I can't remember what.
Coming back from 14 points down in Kirby's tenure.
Yeah, I can't remember. They showed some statistic about Georgia was 0-29 in some situation that came up in that game. I can't remember what it exactly was, but it had something to do with being behind at a certain point or something. But
well, I can tell you right now, the Rose Bowl in 2018 was a back and forth all night firefight. I mean, it just was. It was body blow after knockout punch, after haymaker, after drop kick. I mean, it was just everything. But the exciting thing about the Rose Bowl is that I never felt in the Rose Bowl like we were just done. Like I never felt in the Rose Bowl like we're out of it. This game's over. We're going to lose for sure. This was the first game in probably 2 or 3 years that I felt like we're definitely going to lose this game.
Yeah, I felt that twice in the game. Early when they took the 21-7 lead, I was like, ooh, this is not going well. And then we kind of got back in it at halftime, and I was like, all right, cool. And they let them score right before the half. And it was you were kind of hoping that Georgia was going to 2 for 1, going to score and then stop them and then come back after the half and score again. But literally the opposite of that happened. We let OSU score right before half, and then we went 3 and out after halftime. And so, I mean, shortly in that third quarter, I mean, I think Ohio State outscored us 10-0 in that third quarter. So, like, here it is again. You're like, oh my Lord, they're fixing to they're fixing to pull away again, and Georgia just kept it there.
We were down 4 points at halftime, and then at the end of the third quarter, we were down 14.
Yeah, I think they outscored us 10-0 in the third to go back up 14 points, and then we outscored them 18-3 in the last
18-3
in the fourth quarter. Yeah,
and the brilliant thing is that if you go back and you look at the Georgia versus Alabama, when we went in at the half, Georgia was down 3 points. It was 9-6, right? And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, I'm okay being down 3 points. I'm fine. We're good. I did not feel that way, deep down in my heart of hearts, being down 4 points to Ohio State after we just had the lead and then just lost it right before the half. So this one shook me up quite a bit.
Yeah, now, I mean, it didn't seem like we could get any stops, and so when you go up by 14 points, and then you don't have any faith in, as a fan, faith in defense from stopping them, because I mean they've scored so much, you really think that, man, I mean, we got to get a stop. That's what me and you. I know we text that multiple times, like we got to get a stop here. We definitely got to get a stop here. It's like, and then they do. Each time they needed a stop, each time they went up by 14 points, UGA got a stop and turned around and scored. And it was,
and there's some arguments to be made for letting Georgia stay in it. There was a couple of times that Ohio State could have put the knockout punch in, but they didn't. And they let Georgia hang around. They tried to in the third quarter, but then in the fourth quarter, Georgia absolutely flipped the script.
I mean, even in the fourth quarter, that like when after the CJ Stroud scramble down there, they ran the ball on first down. It's like, why? Like,
yeah,
why
there's a lot of people talking about how Ryan Day screwed him out of that game.
Yeah, I mean, why? That was terrible play. I mean, why would you run the ball? You ain't really done anything running the ball all game. You're not really going to fool Georgia. You got 2 timeouts, so they know you can run the ball.
Right.
So I mean, if you're going to run the ball, let CJ Stroud run it. I mean, that's the thing that's been working the whole game.
I didn't see any trick plays from either team in this game too. That was kind of surprising. I figured we'd have seen some razzle dazzle here or there, but we didn't. It was just straight up football.
I think they probably all watched the Michigan game and realized that didn't work.
Yeah. Now I will tell you that there's 2 things here. Number one, I think Keely Ringo is still has the stat that nobody has scored a touchdown on him. I think he still has that stat. And number 2, this was the worst team to match up for Georgia that we could have got out of the other team, all the teams in the playoffs. This team matched up to our weaknesses very, very well. And I got to pat Georgia on the back. I got pat OSU on the back. Great job. Guys come out, put a stellar performance, hung more points on Georgia than any 2 teams have pretty much throughout all of the last 2 seasons. But Georgia, despite having the worst 3 quarters of football I think I have seen us play in quite some time on defense, Georgia still managed to win that damn game.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Ohio State, like, I've watched some of them play, and you from my own admission in that game, and now you read it from some of the the experts that analyze college football, Ohio State played one of, if not the best game that they've played all year.
Absolutely.
Definitely from C.J. Stroud, his ability.
That was the best game C.J. Stroud has played in his career.
Yeah, and that was by far not the best game Georgia's played. So even doing that, Georgia still finds a way to win. So, I mean, I know it sounds like a homer thing to say, but, I mean, it's on display. I mean, Georgia – this was not the same team that played against Oregon. This is not the same team that played against Tennessee.
No.
You know, I mean, OSU did not get our best, and we did get their best.
Now, I got a question. I got a question for both of you guys real quick. Go ahead, Cool Breeze.
Oh, I was going to say, I couldn't disagree more about saying this is one of Georgia's best games. We just said this is Stetson Bennett's, like, one of his best moments in his career outside of that Alabama game last year. And, like, you had a lot of people, random people just stepping up. This is the first time I think Georgia were like one-on-ones where they faced a team that had equal or better talent at positions, like the cornerbacks to receivers. Ohio State had better talent at receivers and corner than Georgia had on defense. I think this is one of the better games I've seen Georgia play in like the last year and a half, as far as what they did. Because like the end result,
yes, you know, because of the mentality of it, not giving up, keep chopping wood, staying with it, you know, staying in the fight, taking shot after shot against them, and not giving up, not folding up shop. I'll tell you, by that measure, yes.
No, the reason I say that is because normally when I watch Georgia play, they have just better. Like when they played Oregon, they just had better dudes, and I think Kirby Smart said we just got better dudes, and this is the first time that, like, since outside of Alabama where you match up and they got the same type of dudes you got, and they stuck it out and won a game.
I agree with all of that. I don't know if they have better dudes, maybe as good in some areas. Georgia's definitely
same. Like they're looking at the same. Like they were all at the all Elite 11. They're all at the top of the camp kids.
But here's the thing: those receivers catching those passes, they weren't catching those passes because we were being out talented. They were catching those passes because we were being out coached.
Yeah,
those guys were so damn wide open; it was ridiculous. We've played against other teams that have more accurate quarterbacks than C.J. Stroud. We've played against teams that have quarterbacks with more yards than C.J. Stroud.
Just Bryce is the only quarterback against some
5-star wide receivers, and they didn't do this to us. And it was that slant. It was the same play. Probably, I would wager to say 75% of his passes were the same exact play. It was a slant route across the middle. 75% of them. So I think that's a coaching problem. I think if it's not addressed, I don't know what to tell you, but it's not good. Because if your defense is gonna play like that and you're gonna get exposed on the slant, guess what? Every team's gonna do after that. They're gonna throw the slant all night long until you figure out how to stop it.
Well, I mean, I definitely think Ohio State's got, they got NFL talent at wide receiver and quarterback, and and Georgia's, weakest thing in defense is our secondary. I mean, that's clear. So, I mean, I'm not surprised by Ohio State's ability to move the ball. And like I said, I was pretty surprised they didn't have more passing yards when I actually looked at the final statistics of the game. I mean, it felt like they threw for 500 plus,
I agree.
But I agree with what you're saying, Cool Breeze, as far as like the totality of the game and looking at it as like an impressive win for Georgia. I do think it was an impressive win for Georgia.
Yeah.
The moxie to stay in there and actually win the game and to never feel like you're out. I agree with all of that. But I think we got there because I don't think Georgia played as soundly as they possibly have all year. I mean, say what you want to, Tennessee has a better offense than statistically better than Ohio State. They have NFL receivers too. They have an NFL quarterback too when we played them. They arguably have better receivers than Ohio State.
No.
So I mean, as a unit,
if you check outside of check like where they're going, that Buka, Fleming, I think Fleming was number 1 coming in 2020. Marvin Harrison, he's his dad.
He's gonna be a first rounder for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is like
he will be a first-round draft pick if they can ever.
It's not like Georgia has not played anybody of the caliber offense of Ohio State.
I don't think Georgia has seen an offense like that since 18 Alabama.
In the game that they put up, yes, when you look at what they did to Georgia, and what I'm saying is if you just take what they did to Georgia, there's a lot to be said about Georgia did not go in there with the best game plan. And that's what I'm saying is I don't think Georgia played their best statistical game because they played against a better statistical offense in Tennessee, who has put up better numbers than Ohio State against better competition than Ohio State has played against.
You guys watch Georgia play. Or you watch every game Kirby's run. I haven't. Is this outside of the national championship? Was this his best win?
Was this his best win?
Outside national championship, of course. That's the greatest win he's ever had.
I don't think so because they were a favorite to win this game. So no, I don't think so. I think
Georgia's been favored to win every game, hadn't they?
Yeah.
I weren't favored to win the national championship game last year. So yeah, outside of the national championship, but I think the Clemson win, that was a huge win at the beginning of the season. There's been some pretty signature wins. I don't know.
So if we're gonna look at the games that
I think at the end of the day, it was a great win for Kirby, and it's going to go down as a respectful win, having to come back the way it was. But you had a lot of people that thought Georgia was going to boat race Ohio State in this game. They were even talking about it during the Michigan game. I don't know if you caught that little quip in the Michigan game where the play-by-play guy said, or not the Michigan game, but it was the Alabama game, the Alabama game prior to the playoff game that I can't remember who was calling that game. But they were saying that, he's like, I got to blow outs in both games. It's like, I never thought that myself, but I don't know. I kind of hard to say that it's the greatest win that he's had when he was expected to win and it was expected to be a blowout and it ended up just being a tough game that they won by 1 point. So, I don't know. I don't want to try to sound like I'm not giving respect where it's due, but I think it's circling back to what I said. I don't think Georgia played the best game that they've played under Kirby. So I can't say that it's his best win. I think he's very happy that he got a win out of that game. But I think if we had to play that game over again, I think he would have been like, I think we could be better prepared for that game and it not be as nail biting.
Yeah, looking at, I went back to pull up the Clemson game. That was actually JT Daniels.
Yeah, but it was a Kirby Smart game. It was Kirby.
Yeah.
And Georgia, I think they may have been the favorite in that game. I can't remember going into that game, but
yeah, we were.
Most everybody thought we weren't going to win.
Yeah, Clemson was number 3. What was crazy was that I feel like that this was in the top 3. We can debate about what 2 and 3 are. We know what number 1 is. I feel like this was a incredible performance by Stetson Bennett, but I feel like his performance is really limited to the fourth quarter for the most part. Yeah. The rest of his performance, I was beating my head against the wall. Like, what are you doing? Holding on to the ball too long. Hats off for him for getting it figured out and turning it around, though. But as far as if I'm grading on an overall performance, this is a B.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. Like, if I were to grade, I would give Ohio State an A+ in that game.
Absolutely.
If I was grading Georgia would get a B+ or an A- in that game.
I would. Well, on offense, I would give them a B+. On defense, I would give them a C- to a D.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't try to cut on Georgia because they played against a very talented offense that had a month to prepare.
But so did we.
Yeah.
So did we. And we
they didn't stop us either. We scored 4 more points than they did. So, I guess I've always said that a very good offense is going to beat a very good defense if it's just pound for pound. That's just the way college football is played now with all the zone reads and all the crazy stuff they can do and all the talent that's out there. It's very difficult to stop the talent when you have it at quarterback and at receiver like they have,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I was impressed, like, the defense. Giving up 41 points, it's kind of hard to say you're impressed by defense. But, again, we got stops when we needed them. And, they stepped up and we got stops. And then, we played physical. And
we definitely played physical. Jalen Carter got played physical too. They was tackling him.
Yeah.
They thought he had the ball.
He got frustrated to the point where, Kirby had to snatch him back straight.
Can you blame the guy though?
I don't know.
I mean, you expect a game to be called fair, and they weren't. So
yeah.
And I'm not blaming officiating once again. I'm not blaming.
They didn't call it, but they didn't call
it. Won the game. Georgia won the game, and I'm still telling you the officiating was bad on both sides.
It was bad in both games too. Like I think we were talking even during the Michigan game. Like it was kind of bad. They didn't call holding both ways though, so I didn't really fuss about it too much during the game. I don't know how many holding calls they ended up calling, but man, they were almost on every play.
They called one late in the game for Georgia, and I think the only reason they did that was because it was a makeup call for something from earlier.
But I mean, I don't fuss at it too much if they don't call it on our guys either. But I tell you, I mean, there were all kinds of miss. I mean, how about the missed false start on the running back that took a step and they didn't even call it? You know what I mean? They actually didn't they call like offsides on our guy during that play or something? It's like
there was one they did.
Yeah, that was the play.
There was one play where they should have thrown the flag because it should have been false start on everybody but the center.
Didn't what was it, the fake punt where Kirby called the timeout? They had 12 men on the field.
Yep. So Zero Cool, appreciate it, man. This guy's coming in clutch with a super chat. He's making the rest of you guys look bad. Ohio State had a month to feed on hate. I've always felt psychologically it's better to be a team for a team to be an underdog. Ohio had a chip and something to prove. Either way,
absolutely. I agree with that. I agree with that too. Yeah. I mean, I think Ohio State absolutely wanted it. Ryan Day absolutely wanted it. I mean, you had a lot of people that after that Michigan game were ready to fire him.
Yeah.
Crazy. I mean, I think the whole football team and the coaching staff came into that game with a chip on their shoulder for sure. And I mean, they played
Zero Cool. I want you to send me an email with your address. I want to send you something. Can you do that? I appreciate you supporting the channel, man.
It was a crazy game.
So send me your address to my email, bigdogbread18@gmail.com, and I'll send you something, man. I got something for you. So, all right, let's switch gears. Let's start looking forward to the future instead of looking at the past. Laces out there. Let's look at the TCU matchup here real quick. I'm going to share my screen so we can all see what I'm talking about. Because like Kirby said, it's about the next one. We're not done yet. We still got work to do. This is going to be I'm gonna move all of us off screen here so everybody else can see the screen. What is that all the way down there now? There we go. So here's what we got. So we got Stetson Bennett. He was at 3,823 yards. He's about, I want to say he's like 50 yards behind Aaron Murray as the all-time pass leader for a single season in UGA. He will likely break 4,000 yards, and he will be the first UGA player to ever do that. So let's look at these teams, just kind of how they stack up. Georgia is a 72% favorite to win this game against TCU. Georgia is a 13.5-point favorite. Money lines, well, it is what it is. If you want to win $100, you got to bet $550. If you bet $100 on TCU and they win, you get $400. The over/under is 62.5. So obviously Vegas is pretty heavy favorites on Georgia. Points per game, 41 to TCU, 41 to TCU, 40 for Georgia. Points allowed per game, 25 to 12. Yards per game, 20-yard difference. Yard passing per game, 30-yard difference. 3-yard difference on rushing. Yards allowed, about 100 yards difference. Rushing yards allowed per game, 77. 77. And 215 through the air. If we look at their quarterback, Max Duggan, this guy's been playing lights out. This will be the biggest stage he's ever performed on. He has 32 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Stetson Bennett has 23 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. These guys are both very good. The one thing I'm going to show you, though, is that when it comes to TCU, they are very much they only have a handful of players. So let's do this. Let's go to TCU. Let's bring up their stats. And I'm going to show you passing. We're not worried about it. They're going with Max Duggan. No doubt about it. He's their number 3 rusher on the team. He averages 3.6 a carry. He's attempted to run the ball 127 times, which is about 10 a game. He has 400, might as well say 400 attempts. His completion percentage is 63.7. So he's a good quarterback, but he's not elite. I would say not elite because he's not over that 65 threshold. I think you kind of need to be there to be elite. That's just my opinion. We can fight about it in the comment section. These 2 guys right here are their bread and butter. Kendre Miller and Amari Denicardo. However you say his name, I don't name these kids. I just try to pronounce their names. These 2 guys right here are going to have a rough day running the ball against Georgia. Nobody runs the ball against Georgia. TCU, I don't think, has an offensive line capable of running it against Georgia. Now, TCU, when they played against Michigan, Michigan has a pretty good defense. I'm not gonna say that they don't have a good defense, but TCU rushed for 263 yards at 6.4 a carry. They were basically splitting between Amari and Max Duggan. I don't see any of that other guy in here, Kendre Miller, so I don't know if he's hurt. Somebody will have to tell me. I don't know. He may be injured because I didn't see a single snap for him in this game.
Yeah, their main running back is hurt for sure.
So basically, it's down to Amari and Max, and if that's the case, Georgia does a fine job of stopping the run. I don't foresee them getting 260 something yards on Georgia. If you look at their receiving, only 225. Now Quentin Johnson is their number 1 guy. Let me get out here. Quentin Johnson's their number 1 guy. He's over 1,000 yards. That's who they're going to throw to. Tay Barber, the other wide receiver. He only had 2 receptions in the Michigan game, which makes you scratch your head. They threw 6 receptions to Quentin Johnson. They threw 2 receptions to Jordan Hudson and 2 receptions to Tay Barber. I don't know why none of these other guys got catches, but if Quentin Johnson is bottled up, I mean, I don't feel like TCU has as many downfield threats as OSU does or did.
No, absolutely not.
And
they're going to try to run the ball.
Yeah, I think Georgia's going to do a pretty good job of being able to cover up the downfield. And if that's the case, I mean, you're basically going to look at a Georgia team that if they stop the run against them, this game could get ugly quick. It really, really could. So when I look at that and I see these stats, I see these stat lines, and I'm just like, this could be bad. Georgia could. I wonder what Georgia's record is when they're a double-digit favorite. I'm gonna look that up right now. What's your thoughts, Steve?
Georgia, like win under Kirby?
No, in this game.
I'm saying, like you said, their record as a double-digit favorite. Under Kirby, I would imagine that's perfect. I can't think of a team that we've been a double-digit favorite to and lost to.
I can't either.
Not in recent years.
Trying to find it.
Maybe South Carolina in 20. What the Fromm game with South Carolina that we lost in
2019, wasn't it?
2018, 2019, whatever year that was. May have been 2018. We may have been a double-digit favorite in that game, but I think we lost.
I'm trying to find it right now. Georgia was a 24.5 point favorite in that game.
Yeah, I think that's the only game I can think of that.
And the OSU fans here will agree with me. It was because of the weather. The weather was bad in that game. That's why we struggled.
The weather was definitely bad, but that was also the year that we had terrible receivers. I say terrible receivers. We had very young receivers.
Yeah.
They were, the whole storyline was that they couldn't get open on their own. But the real story is that Fromm was afraid to throw the ball.
Didn't they have Ridley at that time?
Who?
What?
Ridley.
Bama?
19. No, his little brother.
Calvin Ridley.
Oh, yeah. I think he was one of the young dudes on that squad. They were all like, I can't remember exactly what happened that year, but it was like they were like all of our receivers were like freshmen. And they were just saying, you know, they couldn't get open or anything. And it was like, I think South Carolina, you know, that was the year that Muschamp basically just showed that if you just man up the receivers and then commit everybody else to stopping the run, that Georgia couldn't do anything because Fromm wasn't going to throw the ball.
Yep.
And that's what everybody did the rest of the year.
That was
looking at that game. Jake Fromm threw the ball 51 times. You ain't gonna believe this. We had George Pickens, who was basically a freshman, Demetrius Robinson, Lawrence Cager, Tyler Simmons, who got kicked off the team for smacking a woman, Dominic Blaylock, Zamir White, James Cook, and DeAndre Swift. How do we not win a national title with that team?
Jake Fromm.
Well, young Fromm, yeah,
that's correct, exactly. Jake Fromm.
Like that was back when he was just scared. He was scared to throw the ball in any type of throw it downfield. Man, he was just so conservative.
Had they switched to what's the kid that plays for the Bears now?
Justin Fields.
If they switch to Justin Fields, there's an extra national championship, maybe 2 in there for Georgia.
That is a falsity, sir.
I mean.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because Georgia did not have anybody at our school that could teach Justin Fields how to be a quarterback. Ooh, they could not manage him properly. They couldn't handle his talent. We would have ruined his career if we'd have kept him at Georgia.
You might be right on that, but I
could take care of him.
You might be right. Do they?
The thing that was unfortunate is that, you know, I mean, the year that he came in as a freshman, there was just no way he was going to take the starting position away from Fromm, having just taken the team to a national championship. I mean, but
didn't Fromm do the same thing with Easton? Like Easton was,
yeah, but Easton got hurt. Easton got hurt though, and Fromm come in and did well and took us to a national championship that same year. And true, I don't think Justin Fields got very many opportunities, but honestly, the opportunities that he was given, he didn't really blow anybody away when he came in and played the few times that he got in. But I do think that they should have given him more opportunities. But I don't think he was going to have to be okay sitting back and waiting his opportunity at Georgia, and he just wasn't interested in doing that, which that's fine too.
Yeah, so
I mean, I'm all for the kids going and playing where they can play at for sure.
So I checked out the Georgia 2023 schedule. I don't see Georgia losing a game to the SEC. Nobody's testing these guys until the SEC championship next year. This might be one of your the most favorite year of any Georgia fan, because this team is just nasty.
We just got to see what we're doing on quarterback next year. It
doesn't matter. You can line up. Check the 2023 schedule. You can line up for them for the first 5 games. You could line up at quarterback, and they're not missing a beat.
UT Martin, Ball State, South Carolina, UAB, Auburn. Then you got Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Open date, Florida and Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that's pretty weak.
I mean, the only UT Martin, Ball State, and UAB.
And so whoever's a quarterback is going to be able to go through any I don't know that Georgia doesn't three-peat.
I don't know, dude. That's doubling up's hard enough to do. But we're also going to be, I won't say breaking in a new quarterback, but we're going to have a new quarterback. On the stream earlier today, I was trolling people and told them that Stetson Bennett still had 1 year of eligibility left. And they were up in arms over that.
Hold on. So does he from that 2020 COVID year? Or
no, he's out.
I think he's done.
Yeah. How old is he? 27, 28, 30?
25 or 6. I know 25. He was 25 during the season. I don't know if he had a birthday during the season. But
I'll tell you, after last night's game, I'm about 54.
Yeah.
That game put some years on me, Bo. Woo.
I think Georgia is going to be. I mean, they're going to be in good shape. It's going to be interesting to see what the quarterback situation is next year for sure. I think somebody is going to transfer.
This is actually like the first year that somebody didn't transfer.
Yeah,
because last year JT Daniels transferred, and the year before that I think it was DeJuan Mathis.
If Brock Vandagriff beats out Carson Beck to start, I mean, if it looks like that might even be a possibility, Beck's gone because this is his senior year. I mean, I guess he's got another year of eligibility if he wants to do that with, the COVID thing, but I'm afraid between Vandagriff and Beck, whichever one of them doesn't look like they're going to be the starter, the other one's gone.
Man, it's hard to transfer though when you're winning national titles.
Yeah, but Beck. Like I said, if he's not, he's gonna have to go somewhere where he can play.
How angry do you think Jermaine Burton is right now?
I thought about that during the Alabama game.
Oh man,
God, he probably would have been the leading receiver at Georgia by a wide margin. He'd have been able to show out. He'd have been able to show out.
WR1 for sure.
No,
but
he's not. He's not that guy.
I don't think he's that guy, but I don't think we have. With AD Mitchell,
we don't have a George Pickens right now.
Well, we
had.
He
thought he was going to do what that one kid out of Ohio State did, but he's not. He can't separate at all. Like he has to be thrown open.
I think we start. I think Cliff Millwood's onto something. I think we start Muschamp next year.
The Muschamp son.
What do they call that? What do they call it whenever when you hire family? What do they call that?
Nepotism.
Yeah, a little bit nepotism right there.
Well, I remember I remember a few years ago, before Muschamp, had come to Georgia or whatever in any kind of role. Kirby made that comment in the press conference. I think it was when it may have even been before he left South Carolina. I don't know, but he had made the comment about how he was going to recruit Muschamp's son to come play at Georgia. And I always thought it was funny, but those dudes are buddies. But the dude did come and play at Georgia.
Yeah. We had some guys step up yesterday on offense. Arian Smith stepped up. Like I couldn't believe how well he stepped up. That guy has incredible hands. I think he caught every pass that was thrown at him. That dude could be. No, don't get me wrong, man.
He needs more targets.
Yeah, definitely. Pastor Dave says he had almost 700 yards and 7 touchdowns. He must not have watched the Sugar Bowl. It's K-State. It's K-State. I like Jermaine Burton. I'm sad that he left. I wish he'd have stayed. But at the same time, I kind of got to laugh at him a little bit and say, hey, is the grass greener? There ain't no damn grass sitting on the couch watching the Natty when you could be playing in it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what happened. And I think he ended up having a good game, but he had I remember he had one boneheaded play or something happened, and I almost tweeted about it, but I can't remember what it happened.
Burton had more yards and TDs at Bama than any wide receiver we had. He's not mad at all. He might not be, but I guarantee you, he wish he was playing for a national championship, whether it's with Bama or Georgia.
I don't know this for certain, but I think if he'd had a one of those all-seeing eyes and knew that AD Mitchell was going to spend most of this year hurt, Burton would not have transferred. I think AD Mitchell scared him into thinking that he wasn't going to get the receptions and Ladd McConkey. I think he was afraid that he was going to have to share a lot of receptions with those guys. But hey, at the end of the day, it probably was statistically for him, it's probably fine because Georgia just, you look at the game last night. How many people did Stetson Bennett throw the ball to? Like 15 or something?
I'm crazy.
Nobody at Georgia ends up with crazy. What Brock Bowers is the leading receiver at Georgia, and he's got 700 yards, something like that on the year. 700, 800 yards.
We targeted 10 different people.
Yeah, he wasn't. It wasn't like he was going to be 1,000-yard receiver at Georgia.
Yeah. Well, no, the way Georgia throws the ball around, it's not likely anybody will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the last time Georgia's had a 1,000-yard receiver.
Was it Jones? Green? Who was it?
I don't know. AJ Green, maybe. I don't even know if AJ Green ever had it. I'm sure he did, but I don't remember it specifically.
Like right now, Brock Bowers is at 790.
Yeah.
Ladd's at 674. Kenny Mack's at 505. Darnell's at 426. I mean, we spread it around, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, our number one rusher, which it was Georgia always had a 1,000-yard rusher until past couple of years, and now you got a couple of guys in the 700s and one guy in the 500s. But what can you do?
I'm
just talking about Beck transferring. Why shouldn't he just stay at UGA and collect natties, according to y'all? I don't think Beck's going to transfer. I think Beck's going to play.
Yeah, I think Beck's going to play too. I'm more worried about Brock Vandergrift transferring.
Yeah. I mean,
especially because, I mean, he's sandwiched right between that and Gunnar Stockton. And from everything I've heard, Gunnar Stockton is pretty damn good. And, I mean, it's going to be interesting at the spring game this year. I want to see because Brock Vandergrift did not jump off the page at me last year.
I'll tell you, watching in the spring
does to me. Beck does. I think Beck might be. I mean, as a passer, and I mean, I don't know. Carson Beck is really good.
Well, I didn't say he shouldn't transfer. I said it's hard to transfer when you're getting national championship rings because that proves that the team that you're on knows what they're doing. If they can turn Stetson Bennett into a potentially back-to-back, national championship quarterback, I mean,
why should he transfer? He's getting rings to UGA because these dudes at that talent level aren't in college for the rings. They're in college for the trampoline into the NFL.
Yep.
You're a 5-star recruit coming into college. You're using it as a springboard to get to the NFL.
Yeah, you got to put in a lot of work to get that 5-star. You spend a lot of money going to camps.
I mean, Beck, if Beck isn't the starter next year, it's going to be because Gunnar Stockton or Brock Vandergrift is who are going to be. There would be no reason for Beck to stay at Georgia because he's obviously not going. Even if he comes back the year after, he's not going to be the guy, anyways. So he's going. I mean, Beck's going to transfer if it looks like Gunnar or Brock is going to beat him out.
Well, Uncle Lou says players want to play and go to the NFL, not collect rings. Players aren't fans. That's true. They're not. But I'm just telling you, whenever you're trying to go to the NFL and you can play in a national championship game at some point in your career, it's a much better opportunity to
I absolutely think that, I absolutely think quarterbacks are more likely to sit at Georgia and play their junior or senior year and go on and go into the NFL now with the success that Georgia's having more so than in 2018, 2019, that kind of year. But at the same time, you got a special situation with our quarterback room because Beck I think this was his academic junior year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking about, if he's not the starter next year, then he might as well not even be on the team, right? It's kind of like being a senior in high school and not being a starter. You don't play. Yep. You know what I mean? In baseball, I remember back when I played baseball, if you were a senior and you were not a starter, you did not make the team by default because there's no point in you taking up a roster spot for some kid that can play when you're not going to play.
And you're not going to be back next year. So,
yeah, you're not going to be back next year. So Beck's going to transfer somewhere where he can play. Now, my wisdom is that he's going to be the starter next year, and he's going to get his 1 year to lead the team like DJ Shockley did, and he'll move on. The question is Brock going to stick around for that? Because that would mean the same thing for Brock, right? Because I think next year is Brock's academic junior year.
Yeah.
This was a sophomore, so he'll be a junior next year. So you're asking him, are you going to stick around and just play your senior year?
Yeah.
As well. That'd be the only thing.
I would just looking at the schedule for next year, if everybody's equal, if it's close, I would go with the youngest guy there because you got 8-9 games to get him ready to be an actual player. Where if you pick a junior, you're gonna have to recycle that. I think they might go young next year.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Don't they get an extra year? Doesn't Beck and Gunnar and Vandegrift all get an extra year because of COVID?
I don't know about Gunner. Gunner, I think, is a 2021 guy, right?
Did that come in? I don't know. I have to check on that.
I think that was only awarded in 2020.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Lou. I don't know. Because
it was only for the people who played in a 2020 year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I don't think Gunner gets extra year. I think Beck and Brock both will get an extra year. So Brock is basically on the same, the same athletic arc as Gunner.
Yeah,
but he'll be a year older, if I'm not mistaken.
So I think the only quarterback that we have seen transfer away from Georgia and be successful was Justin Fields. And look how far back that goes. JT Daniels leaves, turns into a dumpster fire. DeJuan Mathis leaves, turns into a dumpster fire. So, I mean, if you're going to leave as a quarterback, you better have a good place to go.
I'm sorry, who did you say left and did well?
Justin Fields. He went to Ohio State.
Yeah.
He went pro.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's one of the better quarterbacks I've ever seen in college football.
But you also have to take into consideration that in today's day and age, I mean, these kids, they want to play. They want to play. They're going to play. If they're good, they're going to play.
Especially at quarterback position. I mean, you got to,
Georgia's had an embarrassment of riches at the quarterback position, and seemingly, for a while thought we were doing the worst in the world. But I mean, you're about to be standing here with potentially 2 national championships, so it's hard to argue. Jacob Eason dumpster fire did more in the NFL than Jake Fromm. That's true.
That's true.
That's true. He went to Washington State and he did really well. I
think all things being considered, Jacob Eason would have done fine in the NFL where he would have went because he's just physical and talented. So I mean, I think he's one of those guys.
Well, I was team whoever the backup was for 3/4 of that game last night. That's for damn sure. I was so irritated with Stetson Bennett, and then he just pulled it together. It's like, thank you for making me stick my foot in my mouth again, Stetson Bennett.
Well, I mean, it's definitely, you hear all the people say, how good could Georgia be if they actually had a quarterback? But it's like, I don't know. Like, what do you want? What do you want somebody to do that he's not doing? You know what I mean? Like, how much statistically, how much more, how better?
What else does he have to do to prove himself?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. How much more statistically could you get out of someone? Like, I don't know. I mean, are you saying that there's somebody out there that would have thrown for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns in that game? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah.
I think the difference is, like, if you look at the because Georgia took the template from Alabama where they were just winning with whoever the hell, and then they got that run of Hurts, Tua, Mac, and Bryce. Like, if you put an offense that just couldn't be stopped on there, I think you got another 3 years where nobody's stopping Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I mean, I think talent-wise, you don't necessarily. I mean, Alabama showed this a few years ago. You don't necessarily have to have like a Heisman quarterback if you surround them with NFL talent and all the other skill positions. I mean, like I said, Georgia. The problem Georgia had is how do we get everybody the ball? We got 10 guys we got the ball to because every one of them is an opportunity to score a touchdown.
Yeah. Well, Lou said, if I was a quarterback and we recruit him, I'm going anywhere other than UGA. Is just being real. There's a lot of truth in that. I mean, being a fan, you don't want to see a good quarterback go somewhere else because when they're on your roster, you're not playing against them. But Georgia having the people that we have, it's absolutely dumbfounding that we play with Stetson Bennett because we have this thought process and stigmatism that he's not as good as the other quarterbacks on the bench. Clearly he is. But I agree. If I was a prolific, number 1 round potential draft pick quarterback, I wouldn't pick UGA. I would pick an Ohio State. I would pick an Oregon. I would pick a team that slings the ball around. Huh?
I said Oklahoma.
Oklahoma? Yeah. Baylor?
Well, before Oklahoma, not this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. True.
Todd Monken is definitely a force to be reckoned with UGA. Since he has come to UGA, this team has been dramatically and instantly different. And I think without Todd Monken, we would slide back into, rather than being elite 95% of the time, I think that UGA would slip into the being elite, 65, 70% of the time.
I think what's interesting, though, is I think Stetson Bennett may have helped Georgia with the stigma that you just said about quarterbacks, though. Like, that dude is a celebrity. Like, I know it's mainly because of his story, but, I mean, he is showing that you can come to Georgia and, like, I don't necessarily have to have an 1,100-yard receiver to throw to. I can throw 300 to 400 yards to 10 different guys and still throw for 3,500 plus yards. You know what I mean? Like, I mean that is that. I mean, there's some value to that because you don't have to worry about the one guy getting hurt and then all of a sudden who do I throw to? You know.
I hate this. I hate this fact that Lou has because he's brought this up on multiple occasions, and I hate this fact because it's accurate. It's like the better question is if Stetson is the best quarterback on our team over the last 2 years and part of 2020, who's in charge of evaluating our quarterback recruits and who's in charge of developing them because they're failing. Well, you can't make me believe that whenever they saw Stetson Bennett, they go, "That's the guy. That's the guy that's going to take us to the natty. That's him." No, they didn't see that when they saw Stetson Bennett.
No, absolutely not. Stetson Bennett is Tom Brady, right? I mean, let me qualify that.
Whoa.
He took advantage of an opportunity and he ran with it, right? I mean, Tom Brady wouldn't be Tom Brady if it wasn't for Drew Brees getting injured and then Tom Brady stepping in, or not Drew Brees, but Drew Bledsoe stepping in, and he took him to the Super Bowl that year. I mean, that's essentially what Bennett did.
Yep.
He came in when he was the only guy that we really had to go to that had any type of experience, and he took us all the way and won the thing. I mean, how the hell – it doesn't really matter if Beck or Brock or Gunner are better than him. They're just not going to play as long as he's winning. I mean, it's just the way it is.
I think the reason that they don't get elite quarterbacks is the arrogance of the defensive-minded head coach. Because back when Kirby and Saban were at Bama, they were like, we just need somebody not to mess up, and we'll take care of it on defense. And I think Kirby has the same mindset. I was like, you got Stetson, because Stetson's he's not going to wow you, but he's not going to screw it up. And Kirby's like, we'll fix it on our side. If you don't mess it up, we'll get you a national championship. And he's right. He's got him national championships just by Stetson, like, managing the games.
Hey, just so you know, Lou showed up a little late, so I wanted to show him that. I wanted to show him this. He needs to put this on one of his videos when he's trash talking OSU next time.
But Lou, to respond to that, I actually am I'm actually pretty convinced that Carson Beck is probably a better quarterback than Stetson Bennett. I'm okay with saying that, right? I mean, it's a big difference between going out there and having the skill to play the position and then actually going out there and playing the position in the system that you have in the capacity to win the game. Yeah. There's a difference there. Like, you could be the most talented person in the world, but when you go out there and actually try to put some production together, it just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So
is it fair to say that Stetson Bennett is not the master of one trade, but kind of the jack of all trades?
Yeah. I mean, I would actually be concerned if Carson Beck and Brock Vandagriff and Gunnar Stockton are not better talented quarterbacks than Stetson Bennett. I mean, that doesn't mean they play, though, right? I mean, I know the conventional wisdom is that the best person plays, but that's not true. It's the person that gives you the best chance to win plays.
Correct.
It's not the best player. The best player isn't always the person that gives you the best chance to win.
So I think what Kirby Smart has proved over like the past 2 seasons is that the rest of us would have pulled Stetson Bennett out and went with the backup whenever leaving Stetson Bennett in was the real damn solution.
What's that? Say it again. I'm sorry.
So twice in a row now in big games like this, we wanted to pull Stetson Bennett. A lot of us fans wanted to pull Stetson Bennett. and he has left him in, and that ended up being the right choice.
The right thing, yeah. Well, I mean, you got to say now that there's one thing that other teams have got to say about Georgia, at least with Stetson Bennett at quarterback, even though, we only got one more game to play with him as quarterback, is that, they'll handle business in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Well,
in the fourth quarter, you better make sure you got like 21-point lead.
You better tighten them laces up.
So TCU,
So let's
make sure you got that game put away by the time the fourth quarter starts.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Turf Monster event. Why are you turning around looking?
Yeah, I think he was just trying to make sure he wasn't going to get one of them, one of them the little club tackle over the top and ball stripped out, But again, I've been in those situations where you're running and your top half wants to go faster than your bottom half, and you just like trip over your own feet. But
yeah, but
I never played at that level of sports though.
Yeah,
So.
but neither of us accuse anybody. Nobody accuses us of being athletes. To be honest, my job is not to run down a football field wide ass open. His is. So
yeah, I've never seen him fall like that,
man.
But I mean, honestly,
he never missed a tackle.
He never misses a tackle. That's right. The grasshoppers don't either, man. Some bitches are bad.
Have you seen the memes flying around about Chuck Norris shooting him?
Oh no! I figured the sniper memes will come out though.
Yeah.
But I mean, you think about it though. To even get in that position though, man, he shook that one guy so bad. He was like 1-on-1 with I guess it was like a safety or some type of
he just stumbled over himself and fell over and he just took off.
Yeah, he like cut to the outside and then cut back inside. And that dude was just done.
It was so bad when that guy fell down, because you don't see that on the initial view, right? You see it when they show the replay. You look downfield and he's so wide open. You're like, he had to have committed offensive holding here to get that open. He had to have tripped this guy. And you see the replay and you're like, nah, he just got shook. One of the biggest jukes I've seen this season was that juke by Stetson Bennett.
Oh yeah, that was the South Carolina game, right?
Was
that? Yeah,
juking out of his shoes, man.
Yeah, that pass. Go back to what you were just saying. You're talking about the pass to Arian Smith when the dude fell down and he was just standing out there.
Yeah,
dude, every fiber of my being figured that he was going to drop that pass.
Oh no, he's not. He's not. What was that guy's name? Was it Matt Landers? Had both paddles for hands.
I mean, that when you saw Stetson let go of that ball and they panned the camera down there and it was like Arian Smith was standing there and there wasn't even a defender in the frame, and you're just like, oh my god, he's not going to catch it because it's too easy.
It's too easy.
It's too easy.
All right, gentlemen. Hey, it was a pleasure hanging out with you.
Hey, don't ever call me that again, sir. It's insulting.
Gentlemen.
Hey, happy New Year to you guys. I'll catch up to you later.
All right,
Same to you, man. Hope you get to feeling better.
Man, me too. Shoot.
Keely Ringo has 2 rings, and nobody has a problem criticizing him, but leave Stetson alone. Yeah, you can't let.
Hey.
There's people on my fan reaction video, because I was mad about how Stetson had been playing up to that point. There were people in my fan reaction videos leaving comments giving me grief about that. And it's like, look, dude, if you can't be objective about what you see on your own team, I mean, it's okay to have blinders sometimes, man, but you got to sometimes you got to be honest. You just got to. And don't get mad at people for calling it like it is, because he looked like hot garbage there for a while. He was missing people. He was missing passes on people that were wide as open. And it wasn't even that difficult of a throw. The defender is, 4 or 5 steps behind, not going to catch up, and he's throwing it in the dirt in front of the defender. It's like, what are you doing? How about when we tried running the 2-2-7 defense, where the strategy was to give Stroud 30 seconds in the pocket?
Yeah, I mean, it was almost like that was it was almost like that was just a product of us just being tired in the trenches, and it was like, let's figure out something. Let's just drop back into coverage, see if we can. Because I mean, they were honestly failing getting pressure on him, but a lot of it had to do with.
I think our guys either had some kind of flu cold or they had the party bug hangover. They looked slow, sloppy, and winded by the third quarter.
Well, I think
what you guys do in the off season? I mean, what did you guys do in the off month?
I'm gonna go back and watch it, but I rewatched some of the game already. But I'm gonna watch it from start to finish and pay attention to it. But it looked like they had a strategy, in the trenches to kind of like frustrate the guy. Like I said, it looked like they were holding a lot. There were plays where it was the obvious play where they tackled Jalen Carter, and I think they schemed a lot of that control in the trenches. Then that just aggravated everyone. And it was obvious they weren't going to call anything too. And so it's just like, what do you do? Like, what happens? How do you keep rushing him and just getting tackled and getting held and it's not getting called? Why exert that much effort? Let's switch it up and try to cover. So.
Stetson is only injured in the first 3 quarters, healthy in the fourth. He's a medical marvel.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay Shipe says third quarter Stetson Bennett threw like a 5th grader on 2 goal line throws. That is correct.
Yeah.
Anthony Jolly says, Big Dog Brett, did you notice the OSU kicker hooked his first kick and then his second one was low? Had a feeling he was going to miss that game winner.
I did too. Like all of his kicks were mishit. It felt like. I agree with you.
I think the stage got to him, man. I think it was a big stage, and I think he choked. And that kicker is like supposedly like the best kicker they've had in OSU history. Like he's supposed to be really good.
Well, Georgia blocks kicks. Ask LSU.
Yeah, ask Oklahoma.
Yeah,
ask Alabama.
Georgia blocks kicks. They play special teams well, and that stuff starts to play on you as a kicker.
Uncle Lou says he owes Pastor Day the tithe. Said he talked me off a ledge a dozen times last night. I didn't realize Uncle Lou went to church now. Yes, church. Uncle Lou has church service on Sundays. I will tell you that I was that is the most nervous I have ever been in a game. Yeah,
I agree. That one was
OSU should have won that game, could have won that game. Kirby Smart come out earlier in the year and said that his game plan is to put 42 points on the board in every game. And that's exactly what we did today, and it was just enough. So
yeah, I'll tell you.
Hats off to Kirby for the best usage of timeouts in UGA history.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think they were. There were 12. I don't know if you've seen the breakdown of the 12 men on the field during that play, but the play kind of went off a little bit when they went back and showed it. Kirby definitely got the timeout in before the snap happened, but it was one of those plays that you see all the time where the play gets snapped because it's so loud in there you don't hear the whistle. They have to stop the play, and it looked like they were going to get the first down, and it does not look like they threw a flag with the too many men on the field thing. So yeah, I can
tell you that Kirby Smart was running down there calling timeout. He got right in front of that referee to finally get the timeout.
Yeah, and you can see him
calling timeout 2 or 3 seconds before they were going to snap the ball. He clearly saw what was going on, or somebody did, and they messaged out to him. He was trying to get it called. And if he hadn't called that, there was nobody that was going to stop that. There was nobody over there to stop that. It would have been a first down. It would have extended that drive and would have been hosed.
But I got to tell you, the missing the field goal and then the ball dropping like 10 seconds later, like at my house, was just a fantastic experience. It was.
You saw mine. Mine was wild.
It was just wild because like my wife and kids were there. And, we had the ball on one TV, we had football on the other TV. And I literally jumped up and was like, he missed it. It was like 10. I took the shot and, Happy New Year, jumped back over to watch the interviews. It was just like, it just doesn't get better than that. That was fantastic.
That's why they've dubbed it the Miracle at Midnight. And that's what I'm going to call it forever. I'm going to call it the Miracle at Midnight.
And I got to tell you, there's a lot of people giving ESPN crap for, 2 years in a row having the late game run into New Year's. But
it was a magical moment. And I will tell you,
turn it off if that's not what you want to do. Watch the ball drop. It's on every other channel.
Yep. Well, here's the other thing, in my opinion, is I think, and I'll have to double check, that is the fastest loss any team has taken at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Like 3 seconds. You lose.
Yeah.
Uncle Lou, he says, what did he say here?
The first loss of 2023.
Yeah. I seriously felt like I played in the game afterwards. I was wore out, man.
Me too, bro.
That was be intense the whole time. What's that old saying? We'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Yeah.
I had an emotional roller coaster that whole game, up, down, up, down. I will.
It felt so good to take a breath after that game was over, though, man, and just actually turn over to Yeah, it was like we drank and turned over and watched some of the New Year's stuff, and
fireworks.
It was like, all right, man, feel so much better now.
Whew. The funniest thing was, and I'm gonna show this to you.
I think I'd been fine if we'd have lost too. It was just the roller coaster of the game. It was like, man. I mean,
somebody just sent me a message on one of my comments. It was like, pull Stetson, huh? I'm like, yeah, first 3 quarters, absolutely, but we're not at the end. So I want to show you this video here. I don't know if I can get the sound on it right, but I'm going to try.
Happy New Year!
Ohio State. You got to be kidding me.
Apparently that kid is getting death threats too, man.
Well, he's so mad. He's like, Happy New Year. And his wife, did you hear her laugh? I want you to hear this laugh. This Karen, whatever you want to call it, kind of laugh she's got going on. Listen.
Did she laugh because they missed?
No.
Happy New Year!
That laugh, like, haha, we beat you.
Dude, it was a 50-yard field goal, man. I mean, those things are not gimmies.
That was anytime I feel bad, I'm just gonna watch that. I saved it to my phone. Anytime I feel bad, I'm just gonna watch that. She's like, karma.
Yeah.
Leggy from Dog Post said it felt like the championship game, except that it wasn't that. Except it wasn't that how it played. Clarify. I will tell you that I had people that were at that game that were messaging me, and they told me that is the loudest UGA game they've ever been to. And keep in mind, it's a dome, so the sound doesn't escape out like it does most open college football stadiums. They said that place was at least 65% Georgia fans.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Maybe as much as 70. And which I didn't expect that. I thought it really would have been like 60-40, but they said it was probably 70% Georgia fans. They said that place was rocking loud. So I'm surprised they didn't get more false starts.
Yeah, we had some friends that live in Atlanta. They didn't get home until like 4 a.m. because they said getting out of there was just ridiculous.
Oh, I bet. I'd have been on the field. I'd have been banned from that stadium. Guarantee I'd have been banned from that stadium because I'd have been on the field. My wife offered to buy me tickets, and I told her no.
Yeah, we had a couple of like friends of friends. They had 2 tickets that they were wanting to sell. They only wanted $350 for it, but $350 a piece, which I mean is expensive, but that's probably reasonable.
Game.
Yeah, probably reasonable.
Cheapest we could find was $400, and it was in the nosebleeds. But I mean, there's no bad seat in that stadium.
Yeah, no, it's not.
She's like, I want to get you these tickets, and I'm like, no, I don't want to be away from my kids and you guys at midnight. I want to be at home together on New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
we can watch the game. I don't. I appreciate it, I really do, but I don't want to be there for that. I do, but I don't.
Yeah, and that's the reason these people were selling the tickets too, because they were like, we went. They get Peach Bowl tickets every year.
Yeah,
and it just so happened this year, it's a playoff game, so they got it. I mean, they had them anyways, and they're just like, I would rather watch it on TV and rather than go down there and deal with that mess.
And I mean, there's part of me that really wanted to go because it's so close to home. It would have been, other than just the tickets, it would have been extremely cost effective.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, dude, it's New Year's Eve, and I always spend New Year's Eve with my wife and kids, man. I'm not doing that. Corbin McClure says it was the wind. Absolutely.
Had that hard right to left. Was it really a bad hold? I didn't even pay attention to that.
I don't know. Don't care. Wasn't a bad hold for Ray Finkel either, but so I don't know. Let's watch that. Let's do some discovery here.
I tried to I tried to pay attention to see if he like maybe skipped his foot off the ground because the rotation of the ball is he got like a flat spin of the ball rather than
it like
getting
turned
under it.
Side.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it was almost as if he like kicked it with like some bottom right English or something. I don't know. It was odd.
I'm trying to see here.
I mean, I know at like a 50-yard field goal, you gotta drill that thing.
It's a line drive for sure.
You gotta get it out there, and like knowing that Georgia can block kicks and they got tall guys there, he's gonna try to. He wanted to get it at probably a little bit higher trajectory than he wanted to, and I don't know. I think his head got into it.
Yeah, well, Kirby went out there and iced him on purpose, dude. I was like,
I figured it'd be close. I didn't know if he'd make it. I felt good that there was a good chance he was going to miss it because he hasn't kicked the ball clean all night, but when that ball come off his foot, you immediately knew it was bad. It was like that was just he didn't just miss that; he miskicked that. Like it was executed.
All right, so I think I got it here. I'm going to slow it down to half speed, back it up a little bit more. All right, and I'm going to share the screen here. What's that?
Nah, Jonas, excuse me.
All right, can you see that okay?
Yep.
Let me get rid of Corbin's comment here. Gail says I just sent a wine and cheese basket to Ohio State soft ice. I'm gonna try and blow this up a little bit here, so hopefully you guys can see it. I think that's about as best as I can get. Let me make sure we're running 720 60 frames. That's the best it has. So we're gonna roll it slow here to the half speed. Good snap, good hold.
Yeah, it looks like he may have clipped the ground right before he hit it with his foot.
Let's see here.
Hey, play it back at 2.5 or 0.25.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he hits the ground here.
It looks like he divoted the ball or something.
This is going to take roughly a week. A damn good snap, though.
Yeah, everything was perfect, but I thought the hold was fine. It looks like he caught the ground like right before he hit it, but maybe not. I know Mercedes-Benz, like that field has that like chewed up stuff on it. So I mean, just because you see that debris kick up doesn't necessarily mean he kicked the ground. The nose of the football could have popped that up. I don't know. It looks fairly clean from right there.
It looks like he hits it on almost like he's too close to the.
Yeah, he's got right. Holder. Yeah, it's like he's got right English on it. Like he kicks on the bottom right hand part of the ball.
I don't know if he was concerned about the defender coming in off the left, the defender coming in over the top.
Georgia didn't really get any good like if he kicks that, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
That ball just so weird, man.
Yeah,
that ball he misses it, like he misses it the width of another field goal.
It's
like,
not even
close.
Would
have been another field goal over here. He probably would have missed it too.
But what's weird is he got the distance kicking it flat like that.
Yeah,
it's like I don't know. It's almost like he overkicked it. Yeah, kind of like swinging a golf club. Like you can just overswing and just
too hard. Yeah,
yeah. You just lose your mechanics because you're trying so hard.
Georgia gets a good.
I wonder if something distracted him. Did he?
I think the defender on the left did. I really do. Watch. Because that defender on the left looks like he's going to make it. Because he can see him.
That's Keely Ringo. Right, oh, yeah. That's Keely Ringo. He was coming.
Of course, there was a hole there. So.
This is a weird kick all around.
Yep. Well, guys, I don't want to hold you up all night. It's 11 o'clock. I'm going to go play some Warzone. You going to play?
I might hop on there.
So, but yeah, guys, I got to tell you, it was an exciting game, most exciting game, instant classic, best college football playoff game I've ever watched. Coming down to the wire, both teams throwing haymakers throughout the whole game, fans on both sides not knowing how to feel. and then breaking their heart at the last second. It was just wonderful not to be the fan that happened to for a change.
Yeah, really. That's it. That's my thing is that, that's the thing. Like us Georgia fans know how all of that feels. We've gone through the 2012, the championship game, 2012, second and 26, freaking, dude wasn't what's his name, wasn't offside. I mean, we've been there, especially if you go to all the, all Georgia sports. I mean, the infield fly rule in baseball in the playoff game, Cardinals. I mean, good Lord, 28-3 Super Bowl Falcons. I mean, we've been there, a lot of it. We got the stickers, we got the trophies, we got all the stuff you can get from being in those type of games and being on the losing end. So we know.
The Auburn game was one of the heartbreakers. The Georgia Aaron Murray tip pass 2012.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We know that.
And then Alabama goes on and just beats every living hell out of Notre Dame, which I think is what's fixing to happen here. If Ohio State wins this game, Georgia's going to beat TCU, in my opinion. There's no reason they shouldn't. Apparently, everybody else agrees because it's a 13-point favorite. OSU would beat them as well. I really feel like OSU would beat them as well.
I think Michigan would beat them too if they played them again. I just think, I don't know. That was just Michigan.
They had some stuff really go their way.
Well, I don't know if you talked about this, but I mean, Michigan going down there and going for it on fourth down and doing a trick play. It's like, why? Like, why? You got
to be cute.
You got better football players, and just line up and play football, man.
What was the onside kick stuff that happened?
That's what I'm saying. Like, Michigan tried too hard to win a game. It was almost like they were trying to win a game against a team that they were not better than. It's like, we need to figure out a way. We need to figure out a few plays here and there where we can just fool them, just take them to task when we shouldn't be able to. And it's like, no, Michigan, you're the dominating team here. You're the team that's got the better recruits. You're the team that's got the better players. You're the team that's got, you're the team that's the favorite.
They went out and played scared.
They did. They played scared 100%. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what they tried to do in that game, but I don't know. I think Michigan is the better football team than TCU, and they shot themselves in the foot every opportunity they could in that game.
So here's the I'm gonna copy that real quick. So I got it on a snip tool. I think what happened, and this is just my opinion, I think Michigan went out, and whenever they played Ohio, everybody after that game was talking about how Michigan blew out Ohio State. And that's not the way that game went.
Nah.
That game was tight.
That game was tight until the very end.
And I think that because they got that turnover and a touchdown, and it kind of went their way from that moment, but that was late in the game. I think that scared Michigan. I think that they looked at TCU and they go, I think TCU can beat us. And they played scared because of it. And that was ultimately their demise.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they played scared or if they just I almost feel like they just said that we can do whatever we want to and we can win. So we're just going to go out here and do.
That may be true too.
This whatever. What was it, like some flea flicker play or some crap they try to do? It's like
the bad one at that. It wasn't even good. It was
like, you're going to go for it on fourth down, man. Line up and just play. Just run the ball, man.
TCU played very physical in that game. Once they realized that Michigan was not gonna tee off with them, they brought it. So well, I mean it's gonna be a game.
Yeah, you think about it, like though, if you're a football team like Tennessee or like Michigan going against TCU and you're gonna go for it on fourth down, would you rather them stop you putting your best guy against their best guy and just manning up and playing football, or would you rather just fail on fourth down because you poorly executed some stupid ass trick play? You know what I mean?
If you don't convert on fourth down on a good play, that's fine. But don't look like an idiot because you tried some secret sauce bullshit and it didn't work.
Exactly. Make them beat you with your best.
Yeah,
don't try to fool them. You guys don't have to try to fool TCU. You got better athletes. Line up and play football.
What is that? What is that you said? Do what got you there.
Yeah, do what got you there, man. That's exactly right. Man. They kept doing weird stuff the whole game. It was just, I don't know.
I just want to know, Ohio State fan, what is it like having the two biggest losses of your season happen back to back?
Yeah, those are tough. Does Ryan Day still have a job? Yeah, I think so.
They're not getting rid of him. Who are you going to replace him with? They just took Georgia. They just took Georgia to the line in a playoff game. You have a playoff appearance. You took Georgia to the line.
Yeah, in Atlanta too. I mean, that was they were in a hostile environment. I mean, I don't know. Much respect to
the fact that you could come up with an offensive game plan to absolutely punt the number one team in the country defense, not just the number one team, the number one scoring defense in the country in the mouth repeatedly. I think that says a lot about their capabilities.
Yeah, I think they were well coached going into that game. Absolutely.
Will Stetson go to the NFL? Absolutely. Stetson
yes, he will. He will get drafted.
He'll probably go late first or early second.
No, I don't think he's going to go that high.
I do because I think there's a lot of places that need a quarterback that can do what he does.
Yeah, possibly. I think he's a late draft guy.
Do you think C.J. Stroud will go in the first round?
Yes.
Stetson Bennett has better stats than he does.
Maybe. In that game, he did.
Not in that game, but overall he does.
But I think C.J. Stroud is a much more talented quarterback than Stetson. At no point in that game was I concerned. Like, if I was an OSU fan, there would have been no point in that game where I was concerned that C.J. Stroud was a reason we were going to lose that game. I did feel that way about Stetson as a Georgia fan.
Yeah, but a lot of
teams, like I said, I was surprised about the stat, and the stats were that way because of the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
you know, what I mean, he played his ass off in the fourth quarter, and then there's a value to that too. But
when you need a quarterback that can clutch up, call the mailman.
Yeah, I think CJ Stroud to get drafted. I think Bryce Young's going to go number one overall, or at least the number one quarterback for sure. But Bryce Young put on a clinic in that game too. The Alabama guy, dude, is just really, really, really good. I would be okay with. I mean, if CJ Stroud, the Falcons draft around 6th, so doesn't look like Desmond Ritter's the dude. So, bring me one of them quarterbacks in Atlanta. I'll be good with that.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine without Big O. He may be back too. You don't know what they're going to do to him.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. Did anybody ever hear, and I just thought about that, about their tight end that ended up having to go to Grady? Like,
I did hear something about that. Let me look it up.
I can't remember what his name was, but that kid, they ended up taking him from the football stadium to Grady, which was kind of surprising because it's like they usually have, unless you got something significant, they got pretty much everything you need at the stadium.
Suffering a back injury. So if there's an update, what was his name?
I can't remember. I think it was their tight end.
Cade Stover.
Stover, yeah. It was Stover.
Let me see. Let's see. Back spasms. I said he went to the hospital with back spasms.
Huh.
That must have been some painful ass back spasms.
Well, I don't know. Did you see he took a shot, like got helicoptered sort of, and landed on his butt, or like on his back, lower back. And
I wonder if he bruised his tailbone pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that turf is not soft. That's not a grass dirt turf. That turf out there is hard. It's got like it's like asphalt shavings, like rubber asphalt shavings or something.
I think yes. I think the TCU game, I think, is going to be Georgia running the ball at will and TCU not being able to run the ball.
Yeah,
because TCU is a much more run heavy offense than OSU.
OSU can run a full blown offense without running the ball.
I mean, they just kind of just did it. I mean,
the
only reason they ended up with 119 yards is because they were passing the ball so well.
Yep.
Honestly,
C.J. Stroud running for 40 yards a clip.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he ran for half of that in the one play.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know. I think that's where the TCU game is going to be. I mean, it looks like their offense relies on running the ball a lot more, and nothing leads me to believe that they'll be able to run the ball, do something that no team has been able to do all year. So
yeah. I mean, even the best teams with elite running backs haven't been able to run the ball against Georgia.
Yeah, and that 3-3 defense or 3-3-5 defense or whatever it is that they run, Georgia will run on that at will.
Yeah, Georgia will pick up 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. Even with OSU stacking the box, Dejon Edwards was still getting 4 and 5 yards.
Yeah,
a lot of times.
Nobody's been able to run on Georgia, and nobody's been able to stop Georgia from running all year. So I mean, and that is a much more significant factor against TCU than it was against Ohio State for sure.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and call it a night here. Keith, hang on just a second. I really appreciate you guys being here. You guys make this channel go around. We're going to be doing more stuff in the offseason. We're also going to be doing some videos coming up with the TCU. We're going to give you some breakdown and some stats. A lot of respect to that OSU offense coaching staff. You guys did an outstanding job. Really, really appreciate what you guys did over there. That's a game a lot of people have been wanting to see for a long time. Georgia OSU, got to see it, and man, was it a hell of a game.
Did not disappoint. That's what I told. Yeah, that's what I told. Like some people, like I have a friend that's in Ohio, you know, and that's what I told him. I was like, you got to see everything in that game. You got to see the stars. Like Stetson Bennett played well. CJ Stroud played well. Like everybody, everything that was billed for that game happened. You got to see it all.
Yep. I appreciate that, Kent. What we're going to do, guys, is we'll be doing some more shows coming up to the game. I hate that it's played on a Monday, but it's played on a Monday. So go ahead and request your day off ahead of time so that you have the day off after, because it's going to be a late game again. Really appreciate you guys being here. Can't wait to talk to you guys soon. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. And as always, have a great day. I'll see you there, Kangaroo Black. God bless. Go Dogs.